All right, everybody, welcome in. This is the final whistle. We got Phillies sweeping the Brewers, heading over to London. We got some Stanley Cup, NBA Finals talk, and the rest of the MLB will be covered right here on A2D Radio. All right, everybody, welcome in. This is the final whistle here on A2D Radio. Brad Ryer, Doug Mientkiewicz. I am Rob Brinkman, broadcasting from the Real Talk Studios, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook. Download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You guys already know what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, turn those notifications on. Each and every week, we are brought to you by our friend of Alan Foy of eXp Realty. Looking to buy or sell a home, looking for a change in career brokerage. Contact Alan Foy of eXp Realty, 302-682-8820. Visit him at alanfoy@exprealty.com. Let a true expert help you navigate this tough housing market. Anyway, we got Phillies continue to roll. They sweep the Brewers. Rhys Hoskins returned to Philadelphia. Ruined. Now they head over to London. Take on the Mets. If you heard anything about me over the past, what has been 10 years here on A2D Radio, I hate these internationals. I hate that the Eagles have to go to Brazil. I hate that the Phillies are in London. You get Thursday, Friday off. You play Saturday, Sunday. Then I assume they're going to be off Monday. It just doesn't. The team's rolling right now. I don't like that they have to go over there in this private jet, have a bunch of layover. But that brings us to our poll question. Obviously, they're rolling right now. Best record in baseball. Poll question: the trip to London can potentially kill the Phillies' momentum. Brad, let's go to Doug first. Doug, you played. I mean, this isn't really like an extended road trip. This is weird, this London series. Going over to London. They traveled last night. They landed this morning. They're not playing until Saturday. It's a 2-game set. Saturday, Sunday. Then you're coming back home. Seems like a lot of hoopla for not a lot of baseball. Should the fans be worried that this could be a little bit of a momentum?
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, we're creatures of habit. More than any sport, playing every day, you get used to it. Your body gets used to it. You know how to fix things. You know how to medicate as far as stretching and all that stuff. That's a long way to go. You said it perfectly. It's a long way to go for 2 games. And it's just a long way to go. And it's one of those things that when it's all said and done and your career's over with, you look back and go, that was pretty cool. Or maybe at the end of the year. But when you're in it, if you're the Mets, it's like, this is great. I don't have to play. I get to go to London. But if you're the Phillies, you're kind of like, you're talking 5-6 days of only 2 games and jet lag, all that stuff. It's one of those things. London's, obviously would be really neat. And I get the idea. I just don't understand if you're going to do this, I don't even like how they do when teams go to Japan or Korea and they play games right after the end of spring training. That makes sense. You can go over there and, you're leaving spring training a couple of days early, play a couple of games, come back, kind of reset to get started. This in the middle of the year is just a weird dynamic. And as far as momentum goes, I don't think so. It's just, the extra rest might help some guys. But at the same token, like I said, they're rolling, and I can see as a fan you'd be concerned. As a player, it's a cool thing to do, but in the back of your mind, you're going, you almost have a built-in excuse, right? If you don't get going afterwards, you can blame the London series, and if you keep rolling, it's just another 2 games. But it's a long way to go for 2 games.
I mean, some fans might be worried. Rob Brinkman, this team's too good to let this little hiccup, stumble them. I mean, I'm more worried about the recent injuries. I mean, Trey Turner, he had a little setback. We don't know when he's coming back. Suarez took one off the hand in his last start. He's supposed to start on Saturday. He's still the scheduled announced starter. So I assume everything's good to go with him.
I mean, I'm not even sure about that. They have to be. I didn't look at it. They're increasing the rosters for that game. They're taking more guys, or they're taking the exact amount of guys.
I didn't see anything about that.
Usually, usually like when they leave, they break camp and they go over there. They usually let them have a couple more guys just in case. If you can't, get two guys go down, you're not getting the red eye to London to fix it. So I'm sure they're probably letting them take a couple extra guys. Look, you're talking to a guy who absolutely had a love-hate relationship with the All-Star break. It doesn't sound like much, but 3 days. Now, I had years where I flew home, and the second my plane landed, I went right to the boat, and then I spent 2.5 days on the boat, and then from the boat, I got off, I showered, and went to the airport. Those years took a while to get back. And the other years when I actually took care of myself, I actually felt pretty good coming out of the break. But 3 days doesn't sound like much. Now you're talking 5. It's a big deal. It's amazing how when you're used to doing something every day the way that is, and then you take a couple of days off, it's a lot tougher than people think.
Brad, what do you think?
I don't think it's going to hurt them. I mean, the Phillies are good. Okay, even if they come back and they're a little shaky to start, I mean, they got a big lead. They're a good team. They'll come right back and they'll be fine.
Yeah, they're actually not going over there to face anybody good. They're going over to play the Mets.
Right.
They're
right. I mean, listen, will it carry over? They have a very tough series next weekend against the Orioles. If I were them, I'd be more concerned about the Orioles than what's going on in this series, because they should be fine. And I don't recall, who do they play when they come back, the first series?
I think they have the Cardinals.
Okay, in St. Louis?
I would played them at home already.
Louis. I mean, listen, they could slow down a little bit, but I mean, they're so good and they got such a big lead right now. I wouldn't be too worried about them, Rob. I think they'll be fine.
I mean, they're gonna. I mean,
pitching makes up for everything.
Every team goes into some kind of funk at some point during a season, whether you're a great team or a bad team. Just the bad teams have longer and more of them. But every team goes through a 10, 12-game stretch where it's like no matter what you do, it just doesn't work. So, but that's why when you play well, every win matters, because you 7.5 games. I think they're up right now 7.5.
They're up 8. 8.
That's
now
a big number. I mean, that people don't realize how big that number is. It's not insurmountable, but it's a rather large number. So you can have a really bad week, and you still have a 2 or 3 game lead. If you just were dismal, and if the other team got hot, that's what people don't realize too, is that you have to be god awful, and the team that's chasing you has to be phenomenal to make up 8 games in a short amount of time. So like I said, that's why you build that cushion and you just keep plugging along. Like I said, that team's built with pros. There's pros everywhere. There's not a lot of young guys. There's guys that, I mean, you look around, they've got experience. The last couple of years in the postseason, they know what this is about, and they understand, they've got unfinished business. So I wouldn't expect this to be too big of a hiccup for them.
So the Braves won this afternoon, so it is 7.5. And then they go to Fenway after London, not St. Louis. Then they go to Baltimore.
That won't be easy.
Well, depends on
Red Sox.
They're not that good. They're very
good, but they got really good pitching, though.
They had really good pitching. I don't know what happened to it.
You have to score at some point.
Right now, their
Devers
pitching's
is on
pretty
fire.
good. Yeah, right now, their pitching's been really good.
Right now.
Right. Well, I mean, up to this point in the season,
they're playing over their skis.
I think they are too.
They're playing over their skis.
They're playing over their skis at 31-31.
Right, they're playing over their skis.
If
you look at that team, and you look at the record,
I hear you.
I don't see that team going 500. I don't.
And they don't have the first baseman either. Cass, I think's really good, but he's not going to be back for a while. Do we worry about the Phillies maybe getting caught up because they're not playing in a good team in the Mets, or is that just going to be? Are they going to be locked in because the Mets are their rivals?
When you're a bad team, you think about who you play. When you're a really good team, it's about you.
Okay.
You just go you do your job, you play your game, and whoever the other team has no face. They're there to get your work in, and that's kind of how you feel. And that's I guarantee that's how Philly feels. They don't concern themselves about who they're playing; they concern themselves about them playing well, and they know that if they play well enough, they're going to be where they want to be come October. And I think that's exactly what Topper's mindset would be with them, and that's how they feel.
One thing I like about they're always loose. Doesn't seem like anything bothers them. With I know you were with Topper in New York in 2007. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the persona he puts off? Like
he's a grinder. He's a grinder, but he's intense, but he also understands how hard it is, and some kind of levelness and calmness helps some teams. And I think his fieriness comes out when things like when it's needed. But I think he probably watched Girardi from the side and saw where he lost that group, and he made any person would, right? If you were sitting alongside somebody that's running something, whether it's a business or a team, and you see the guy in front of you fail, you're not going to go do the same thing he just did to lose the clubhouse. You kind of have an idea, and you have to be you, but at the same token, I think you, with being Topper, has a tremendous demeanor for that group because the respect levels there from the players to the manager to the coaching staff, and that's why I think he allows them to be pros, and he allows them. It's a weird dynamic when you feel like your manager has your back. You're allowed to go be you and go do your job, and I think that's what. And it helps. I said when you have your alpha male is Bryce Harper, and he's a generational talent, but he's also got that I want to win every pitch, every night, every inning. It helps when your alpha male has that mantra, and wants to do everything he can to win a game tonight because tonight matters. The rest will follow.
I mean, Bryce hasn't even really gotten going yet. I feel like
it's a long year.
I mean, his stats are okay.
But I think that's as crazy as this might sound. I think it's a good thing. Like he's not so wrapped up in his own numbers. He cares about wins. He went to Philly not to go pad his numbers. He went to Philly because to win a championship there is like there's some cities that are just a little more special than others to win a championship in. The Bostons, the New Yorks. Philly's got to be right there. I mean, you win a championship in Philly, and my gosh, and when you
all three of those cities have probably the most passionate fans in.
And I say this with all due respect, but those fans are the best in the world, but they also can be the most miserable. So if you can bring them something that makes like 100 million miserable people happy for you don't get a chance to do that very often in your life, and that's a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty special thing.
Yeah, listen. They'll get on you if you lose, but they'll be your best friend when you win.
Oh, of course, and that's 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 what I mean. That you come from Washington, right, where the fans are just there if they are there, right, and then you go, and you can't tell me that winning Nationals winning that World Series isn't not a thorn in his side. You can't tell me that doesn't irk him,
right?
But you go from a place of where, when you think Washington Nationals, you don't think of, a tremendous fan base. Then you go to one of the elite fan bases in all of sports. There's a reason why Bryce wanted, those guys are great and they're phenomenal and they're generational for a reason because they like to be challenged.
They're weird down there in DC.
It's a weird place
now. And I don't know what Orioles. Brad, your brother-in-law's in. I don't know what Orioles fans are like.
They're pretty passionate. I could tell you that.
Ravens fans, I would say, are like I would put them up with
the Ravens. The Ravens are that's their team. I mean, Yeah, they're a football town first.
I can't tell you about Baltimore fans because every time I was a visitor there, the team that I played for had more fans than the Orioles did. So like Boston and New York, those were home games for us. They were just in a different city.
True. That's true.
Great ballpark.
Yeah, but when the Orioles are really good, like they are now, they're there and they're loud and they're annoying. You know, they're very similar. They're very similar to us and Philly and Boston.
Can you
really
think of another thing in life where you can call someone annoying and it's a compliment? Like to call a fan, like a fan base, or annoying, like that's a great thing.
Oh, yeah,
that means you're doing your job.
That means we're in your head.
That means you're doing your job.
Yeah,
like it's annoying. Yeah. Like that's the best compliment I can give. Playing on the road in some places, like they're annoying. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Like that's the best compliment you can give me.
Yeah, no, they listen. I went last year to Oriole Park to see the Yankees play them, and there were when the Orioles are good. The Orioles are the Oriole fans are kind of fair weather fans, Doug. If they stink, nobody shows up. They're like Met fans. As soon as the frosting is off the cake, it's over.
The Orioles weren't just bad for a while.
They were bad.
No, they were really bad. That was 5 years of losing over 100 games.
Bad would be a compliment to some of those teams.
Yeah,
the only time I ever went to Camden Yards, they lost 30-3, a baseball game. They lost 30-3 to the Rangers.
That was Josh Hamilton.
Josh Hamilton, Michael Young. They could really hit. They weren't that great. They had a good offense, but they should be scoring 30. And they lost 30-3, and they had to come out and play again. It was the first game of a doubleheader.
Oh, that's right. It was. It was. That was bad.
It was brutal. All the guys came out of the bullpen.
Did he? Did Josh Hamilton hit like 4 home runs?
I should bring up the box score.
Here, I'll do it.
30.
I think he hit 4 home runs in that game.
Well, they were hitting it off the fence and just taking one base at some point. They just
Let's see.
It's an American League record, 30 wins in one game. It was in 2007. I was a junior in high school. My dad took.
I remember thinking, like, they scored 30 runs and I can't get a hit in Camden Yards. That's how bad I am.
They got 5 in the 4th, 9 in the 6th, 10 in the 8th, and then 6 more in the 9th.
How's the 10 spot in the 8th? Good? They scored 10 in the 8th inning.
Yeah.
10. And then followed up with 6 more in the 9th. Here we go.
Do you have the box score?
Marlon Byrd was 4 for 5 with 4 ribbies. Let's see.
The whole team had 4 ribbies.
Josh Hamilton didn't even play, wasn't even there. Different year.
Maybe he came back in because he won the Derby in Yankee Stadium in 08.
Metcalf was 1 for 1 with 4 RBIs.
Wasn't Soriano on that team?
I'm looking at Mientkiewicz was 4 for 6 with 7 RBIs. How's this for your 8 and 9 hole? Mientkiewicz went 4 for 6 with 5 runs scored and 7 ribbies. And Vasquez, the infielder, went 4 for 6 with 4 RBIs, or 4 runs scored and 7 RBIs. They both hit 2. They both hit. So combined, they went 8 for 12, scored 9 runs, drove in 14, and hit 4 homers. And they both punched out once, and both walked once. That's impressive. That's crazy. You know what's even more impressive than that is that no one went over. Like no one. Usually, that game has some poor guy who goes like 0 for 7, and they didn't have that.
Yeah,
the worst one was
Singleton
Michael Young.
used to say, there's always somebody that's not invited to the party.
I'll give you. Here's even better. You got Michael Young, who was arguably one of the best hitters in that generation, and Nelson Cruz. Michael Young went 2 for 5 with a run scored and no ribbies. And Nelson Cruz went 2 for 7 and didn't drive in a run. And you scored 30. That's sick.
Crazy.
That's
That's
almost
that's
that's almost
insanity.
impossible to happen.
That's crazy. That's
And
insane.
I swear they could have scored. Like, they only got 6 in the ninth. Like, they could have got 20.
The crazy part
Yeah.
is the
Every
Orioles
ball was off
starter
the
went
wall.
5 innings. Cabrera went 5 innings. Gave up 9 hits and only 6 runs. 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. And then all hell broke loose after that. Oof.
If you like our little 30-3 Brinkman Camden yards, hit the like, hit the subscribe, turn those notifications on. Let us know in the comments. Maybe you were at a crazy game like that. Let us know. We'd love to hear about it. Shifting gears a little bit, rest of the MLB, kind of the American League version of the Philadelphia Phillies, Brad, your New York Yankees. Just keep on rolling. Garrett Cole looming. Sounds like he's looming. Going to come back.
I'm wondering if he's going to come back after his next rehab start. I mean, he threw, 45 pitches that game. So he'll probably throw, 60 pitches next game?
60, 70, I would think.
Yeah, and then he'll probably throw about 75 game 3. I mean, I think the Yankees.
Why rush him? Why rush him?
The Yankees aren't going to rush him because if they win tonight, they're going to have a 4.5 game lead. So and they're hitting the ball like crazy. I mean, Judge, remember when I was complaining that Judge was only hitting about 180 or 190 in April?
Yeah.
He went from that to being the MVP of the league now. I mean, he has as many RBIs as Soto now, and he has 21 home runs, and he's hitting 290.
That's crazy.
Tonight they're not even pitching to him; they're walking him every time he's up. I mean, it's getting to a point now where they walk Soto and they walk Judge intentionally. So they're always having
That's
runners
the
on
plan, right? I mean, now you need the guys behind because, it's like we talked about with the Phillies. I don't know if it was this morning or earlier in the week. Like the Phillies, now David Dahl's up from Lehigh Valley, former All-Star, just chilling out in AAA. Marsh goes down, he comes in. Now he's tearing the cover off the ball. Like Pache comes in, he tears the cover off the ball. Rojas actually, David Dahl.
He was the. If I remember
for the Rockies, right?
He was.
Yeah, he made the All-Star team with the Rockies.
Yeah, I remember.
I think it was the Appalachian League. I was in the what was that? I was whatever Pioneer League, which is Ogden and all those places had Colorado. Dahl was the MVP of that with Corey Seager and all those guys in that. So think about it. You got Corey Seager and Dahl that were both in that little Pioneer League when I was out there. Man, when I was out there hitting coach my first year, and he's still playing. Him and Corey are still playing. That's great.
I don't know what his journey was, how he went from being an All-Star in Colorado to hanging out in AAA.
He got hurt a lot.
I remember that.
Well,
he was always injured.
It's like
he was a 5-tool kid. He was a 5-tool guy. He could do some things. He's got to be 30, I would think, right? Seager. Yeah, that's him. That looks just like him. He is 30 years old, so he's still got plenty of juice left in the tank.
Yeah, he should. I mean, he should have 3 or 4 good years left.
But anyway, now it's up to the Stantons of the world to drive those guys in because teams aren't going to let those 2 guys beat you.
He's been
pretty good.
They have Verdugo batting 4th because Verdugo is a contact hitter and he doesn't strike out that much. So he's driving in a lot of runs. And Stanton is hitting a lot of home runs like he always does. But Stanton is hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position this year, which is not usual for him. Usually he doesn't do that.
Still, the biggest enigma for me is how in the world is Anthony Rizzo hitting 230?
He looks washed, Doug. He can't hit fastballs anymore.
He was so good. He was so good.
Yeah, I mean, if they throw him a low fastball, he can still hit it. But they're throwing him high fastballs, and he just can't hit them anymore.
That's neither can name a guy in the league that can.
Oh, Judge can hit high fastballs.
Not high fastballs to him. No.
Who, Judge?
Like I said,
if it's outside,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. If it's outside,
Yeah.
There is no outside pitch to Rizzo because he stands with his nuts on top of the plate.
Yes, he does. Yeah, but he's not going to. He's 30 years. He's 30 something years old now. He's not going to change his stance now.
I'm not about changing his stance. It's about. I just think that Porch kind of played with him. I think that right field Porch is.
Well, his first couple of years on the team, he hit a shit ton of home runs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that made.
Because you getting back to using the whole field. He'll hit home runs if he uses the whole field. I don't know what I mean. I'm not really that familiar with it. Like when he was in Chicago. To me, he was by far the best all-around first baseman in baseball.
Yeah, no, he could still field. He's still a phenomenal first baseman. But if you throw the ball, if you throw a high fastball to him, and I'm not talking about high shoulder high, but he'll swing at those, unfortunately. But anything over the waist, he can't hit.
He never could hit that. Just swing's tailored to it. That's the way his swing was.
Okay, so he's low, but that just seems to be the issue right now. With
if you're trying to pull that ball up, is the ball like belt high up can be an issue.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be pulling the ball. He doesn't need to do that. They got guys that can hit home runs. He doesn't need to be hitting home runs this year. That's the whole point.
I just don't. I'm just looking at the Yankee lineup. I'm like, October, man. They're going to be. Well,
that's what it's going to be all about. Are they going to hit in October? And is Soto going to be good in October?
I think Soto will be great in October if they allow him to be. Because if I'm managing, I don't let Soto beat me. I'll go. If I have the right arms, I'll go after Judge. You have to.
Well, nobody's going after either one of them right now.
Why would you want to go after Judge and
because he swings and misses? Because he swings and misses. If I make my pitches, he's out. Soto will shoot a ball to left.
The ball's going to go 450 feet.
Along with everybody else, if you make a mistake. I tell my guys that you pitch them like it's 0-2. Every pitch. You try to make perfect pitches or balls. And if he swings at them, so be it.
Well, he will. The weird thing about him is in the regular season, he's patient and he doesn't chase. It seems like he chases a lot in postseason.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason. I don't know why he does that because he doesn't do that all season. I mean, he always gets
because you don't face again. You don't face St. Louis Cardinals number 4 in October. You don't.
No, I realize
you're facing everybody's number 1, and that's like not to say that Judge can't hit good pitching because that's not true. He can, but on average, guys that have holes in their swings and that will strike out a ton don't scare you in October. They don't because
here's the one thing he doesn't do, Doug. The one thing he doesn't do, he doesn't go chasing that dead fish that's low and outside like he used to.
Well, that's not against the power elite arms. It's like when everything's magnified is when things start to. That's where I don't let let's put it this way: if you need if you need a hit to beat you, who are you pitching to? Soto or Judge? It's a no-brainer.
I think I'm going around both of them. I'm going to try to get Stanton now.
You can't really go around both of them. That's a recipe for disaster.
Everybody's doing that. That's probably why they're all losing.
But not in the play. They're not going to do that. Yeah,
if you're going, you can't go through you can't go around guys throughout because during the course of a season, you can go around guys in October. Like
what American League team right now has good enough pitching to go right after Stanton and Judge?
Seattle.
That
staff is really good. I don't know about the offense.
I know they are. They hit Seattle though. They should have won 3 out of 4 against Seattle, and that's
the difference between the regular season and the postseason. You when your staff is lined up to go at you, it's a little bit different than facing them on a Wednesday in the middle of July.
But Seattle, they can't hit.
I get that. Doug asked about Seattle has a premier pitching.
They're the one team that has really good pitching. The Orioles do
Castillo
too.
And Kirby, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch.
Oh, and Gilbert. Don't forget him.
Gilbert as well. Yes.
You know,
Gilbert, and then I mean,
Gilbert's
if it is an 09 rematch, the Phillies have arms that can go after them.
But that's in the National League. If they don't play.
Those are the three.
Well, I'm talking about in the American League right now.
Okay.
To get to the World Series,
do they have to be healthy or can they be hurt?
The other team's pitching?
I can think of DeGrom, Scherzer,
Nasty Nate,
Evaldi.
They're
all the same staff.
He's aggressive.
I gotta see them. First of all, when it comes to DeGrom, I gotta see him actually be on the mound. I mean,
why?
From what I've heard,
already? You haven't seen him enough already?
No, but he hasn't been there. That he still has no timetable right now.
Why would you rush him? You just won the World Series.
I know, but he may not pitch this year.
Maybe not. But you just asked me to name guys that can go through that line.
When they're healthy. I mean, Houston too, but Houston is not going to have Javier this year. He's gone. You know, Houston.
You're forgetting about bullpen guys too, though, because you can't do what teams do in October for 6 months. You can't. Those guys will die. You can't live like that. You can't do what the Rays do every postseason.
Whose bullpen are we talking about?
It doesn't matter. Like the name, like when you go, you can match up. Don't you understand? Like in October, you sit down and you literally game plan. You have these two guys are for Judge, this guy's for Soto. This guy, if we get this, you have every situation mapped out. You can't do that through the fine-tooth comb during the regular season. You try, but you
keep in mind, Doug, their ERA as a team is the best in baseball right now. And they don't even
other teams pitching. We're not talking about the Yankees pitching.
Yeah, the Yankees pitching right now has the best ERA in baseball.
Okay, but we're not. You're changing subjects,
right? But okay. On that note, how good? Hang on. On that note, how great was Baltimore last regular season? How great was Baltimore last regular season? How great were they?
They were really good.
Where did I blink in October, or did they go home real fast?
That was their first year in the playoffs.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Texas's first year in the postseason, and they won the whole damn thing.
Yeah, but they had guys that had been in the playoffs before, though, Doug. They had a lot of guys that had been there before.
But so have the Yankees, and they haven't quite made it. They haven't gotten past the first round.
No, they got into the LCS a lot. They can't win in the
80s,
LCS.
90s.
Huh?
They went once, maybe twice.
They lost to the LCS
that was 7 years ago.
I think they lost to Houston in the LCS like 2 years ago. Not last year. Last year they didn't make it at all. 2 years ago, I'm trying to remember. They got to the LCS and lost 2 years ago.
They lost when they were banging those garbage cans.
Right. That was the series they lost.
That was 7 years ago.
Yes.
Wasn't that 7 years ago? Wasn't it like
2 years ago?
Banging the garbage cans was 2 years ago? No, because they got
swept. No. That banging the garbage cans was 7 years ago. 2 years ago they got swept. They got swept because
exactly. So they didn't show up for that one either. I'm just telling you, you can have a great.
But they didn't have the pitching. They didn't have the pitching they have now.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll use your argument against your own statement. What guy in their rotation right now has won a game in October?
Cole.
He's not in the rotation.
He will be in 2 weeks.
You don't know that. He might throw one start and his elbow blows again.
Well, he could.
You just made the argument for the Orioles never been there.
Are you what you're saying? Nestor Cortez has won playoff games. Rodon's won playoff games.
When has Cortez won a playoff game?
He won a playoff game against the Indians 2 years ago.
Against the Indians. That's not really a playoff game. The first round really doesn't count anymore. Yeah, they make 19 rounds now. Like when they really matter.
Well, Well, they haven't been able to beat Houston, but Houston's not going to be there this year.
Recent. Here, I have it right here.
face.
I have it right here. The Yankees postseason results over the past few seasons. Last year they didn't make it.
No.
2022 they lost to the Houston Astros. They were swept. They beat the Guardians in the division series. They lost the 2021 wild card game to the Boston Red Sox.
Correct.
2020 they won the wild card
and they lost to Tampa Bay.
And then they lost to Tampa Bay in the division series. And then in 18 they went to the LCS, lost against Houston.
What about 19?
That was 19.
What year were the Rays? What year was that year the Rays won the World Series? That was like the last time I thought they really had a shot.
That was the COVID year.
Yeah, that was the last time.
That was 2000. That was 2020. That was the COVID year. It was a 5-game division series. The Yankees lost game 5.
Yeah, they lost that game 2-1.
And then 2019
baseball.
2019
they lost to Houston in 6 games in the championship series. They beat the Twins that season in the division series.
Right, that's like a bye.
That doesn't count for them.
That doesn't bye. That's a bye week.
Yeah, that doesn't count when they play.
You're playing like North Dakota's High or something.
No, the Twins see the Yankees. They just don't want it, and they don't play well. I don't know what the deal is there.
That's your Northern Iowa.
2000s
September.
And 2017 they lost Game 7 in the LCS to the Houston Astros.
That was the trash can year.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
17, if I remember right, that was like the best. I thought that was the best LCS league championship series I've seen in a long time. That was a good one.
But they lost. Houston always found a way to beat them. I don't think Houston can beat them anymore. Houston doesn't have enough pitching anymore.
Before we move on to some little NBA, NHL talk, biggest surprise of the MLB season, good or bad? How about the Royals? I like the Royals.
That's my pick.
37-26, 4 games back of the Cleveland Guardians. 40-21.
If they could get
Cleveland Guardians,
if they can get a couple of outfielders they could hit, they could really be dangerous.
What the Orioles?
Naylor and Jose.
So they're
Naylor and Jose Ramirez in Cleveland. That's quite a duo.
Yeah.
Naylor and Ramirez.
21. What's that? 21-8 at home.
Who? Cleveland.
Guardians. 21-8.
Ramirez and Naylor.
They're always
outstanding this year.
They're just like, and I don't mean that in a rude way. It's like they're always they're always forgotten, right? You don't really talk about them because they're in the Central, but they've been a level of consistent for how long? My goodness gracious!
They churn out pitchers. They develop pitchers.
Oh my gosh!
They develop players.
They don't even have Bieber. Bieber's out for the year. He pitched one game, I think, and got Tommy John surgery, and they're still doing what they're doing. Trade Lindor because they didn't want to pay him.
That's another thing too, is they don't generally miss on their trades. They do a great job. It's not so much of who you get in the trade as it is when you trade them. They've been dead on balls accurate with their trades and the timing of them, and they get quality back. I mean,
you ever notice they never trade Ramirez?
No.
Why would one guy that stayed, and he is.
Well, they had the pick.
He is a great hitter.
Teams pick. Like the Red Sox, bunch of dopes that they are up there. Like they had to pick between Bogarts and Betts, and they ended up not paying either of them. Teams like the Guardians, they pick between Frankie Lindor and Jose Ramirez, and they pick right every time.
Yeah, Lindor, but that being said,
Lindor hasn't been all that, and
No, but
he hasn't
like
been all that great for the
you
Mets.
also know, like Boston has that thing where they don't want to overpay guys they already have. I get it, but the one thing about it though, like you can't really compare them to because Mookie Betts wasn't taking the deal they gave Ramirez. There's no way, right?
No, that's true.
I mean, you put
Well,
Ramirez
Betts
in
is
the
better
Dodger
than
uniform.
Ramirez. No,
What's that? What's that?
Betts is better than Ramirez.
Yeah, but like, yeah, he is. But like,
You get paid more.
He's not 260 million different. I mean, Ramirez is like if Ramirez is in L.A. or in New York,
did he really take that much less?
This guy would be. I mean, he would be everywhere. I mean, think about it. Like they promote the Chaz guy from the Marlins board, and they promote Ramirez in the game. And Ramirez has put up like Hall of Fame numbers since he's gotten there.
Yeah, he's a tremendous player.
And he can
7-year
hit.
He's a switch hitter.
7-year, $141 million contract.
Right. That's
just over 20.
Like Mookie Betts has that in his ashtray in his car. Like that's
why did he do that?
Because he wanted to
play in Cleveland.
So that's got a thing too. Like Mookie Betts wasn't
no one ever besides Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, no, he just likes playing there.
Mookie Betts would have laughed like hysterically, like belly laughed at the Red Sox after like, hey, we're gonna give you a 7-year 140. Like, we ain't even in the same planet, buddy. Like, that's not even close. I mean, think about it. If that guy plays in LA, how much does he make? You're talking he's a $300 million hitter.
Oh, easily.
He's a $30 million guy, 25 to 30, I would think.
He is a high average, high home run, high RBI hitter.
And he does it
high stolen base guy too.
Yeah, he does it everything.
Think about it. You plug that into a real lineup. Oh my God! Holy cow! Like, no offense to like the other guys in Cleveland, but like, who would you rather pitch to? The Naylor guy or like a Soto or Judge or Shohei? Like, that's the crazy part. You put that guy in another lineup. Goodness gracious alive! What kind of numbers did he put up?
Well, if you put him, could you imagine putting him in front of Judge and Soto?
It's ridiculous. If you put him in the 2-hole,
or you put him in front of Shohei and Betts,
it's crazy. You imagine going Betts, Ramirez, Freeman, Shohei. Good luck getting out of the first without giving up a 3 spot.
Yeah,
and that's a dream team, but it's pretty close. But you put Ramirez in anybody's lineup. I mean, I'll go one better. Like, the fact that the Padres pulled off the Rhys deal, like, there's some good teams out there. I would have been like, hey, like, if you're going to trade him and all we got to do is give up our first rounder from last year and one other guy, he's only making $10 million. You're telling me the Yankees, imagine that, him leading off? You kidding me?
Doug, they have to pay Soto.
Right.
They're going to pay
Arias is a free agent at the end of the year, I think.
Yes, he is.
So there you go.
They're going to pay Soto. They're saving their money. They're going to be getting rid of a lot of guys at the end of the season.
I'm talking about this year.
Huh?
When the Marlins traded Arias, that would have been a perfect time for someone to go, like someone with a lineup like that, to go get him.
Yeah, he plays second base too, doesn't he?
Play second, play outfield, play first. He play everywhere.
He would have been a good fit with the Yankees.
He could have played right field there.
Yeah, he'd be a good fit. He'd be a good fit for your team too, Rob.
He's a good fit anywhere.
He probably would.
I mean, you can pretty much anywhere you put that guy. You're talking about a guy who's about to win his 3rd batting title with 3 different teams in 3 years. That's pretty freaking amazing.
Yeah, he can really hit, that guy.
He doesn't have to run because you put him in the right lineup and then he gets his jog, right?
Brad, the floor is yours. Saturday night, 8:00, Stanley Cup Finals begin. The Oilers and the Panthers. I think the Panthers have home ice.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the Panthers in this series.
Are you near that? Where is their stadium anyway?
A little far away. It's farther north than Miami.
It's a
So
surprise.
Are people into it? Are people
it's
hyped
like
down there, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, like for a hockey team, for us, yeah, it's to me, it's for two reasons. One, it's an indoor event, right? You're not outside sweating your what off in June, July, May, June, actually. You know what I'm saying? And like people up north, I'm shocked. Like, of course, we could do better. We're a South Florida based fan base where we're good. Yeah. If you're good, you're going to pack the house. I mean, hell, look when LeBron was here. We didn't pack out the arena until the game started getting important. But yeah, they're behind. When the Marlins aren't as good, like when Marlins stink, it's like the Panthers and the Heat have saved this town.
Yeah, now the team is always been Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has always sold out all their games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking, I think it's more of two before they won Stanley Cups.
I think more of the Tampa thing too is the fact that Tampa, their hockey team, their arenas in Tampa. They're not the Tampa Rays in St. Pete, and that's still a really sticking point with the people of kind of like that Southwest Florida, that West Florida thing. Like they're not like that. It's been a fight since the day they became the Devil Rays. But it was a combination of they're really good and they were good for a long time, and their teams in Tampa because the Bucks sell out. The Bucks, when the Bucks are decent, they have good crowds. So it's not like down here.
Yeah, no, the Lightning have always been a good draw in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because Florida went last year too.
Correct.
Yes, they did.
Yep.
So this is quite a little impressive run that I feel like nobody's
talking about. They have everything it takes
to win the whole thing.
Stanley Cup. I just think that they're such a good defensive team. They're going to create turnovers just like they did with the Rangers, and they're going to score on Skinner. Skinner was good against Dallas, but Dallas offensively, they have a couple of good offensive players, but they're not as good an offensive team as the Rangers.
Mm-mm.
They
didn't touch the trophy this year.
They completely stopped the Rangers' power play,
which was about as good as I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch every game, but the ones that I did watch, I want to say it was, I forgot what game it was, but it was the game after the Panthers lost and had like 100 shots on goal. What game was that? 3 or 4?
2.
2? Well, like the power play the Rangers had
three.
It was the most crisp power play I've ever seen. And they and somehow I think they scored on the first one and they didn't score on the second one, but I was shocked at how crisp. I was like, if their power play is like this, we better not go in the penalty box anymore, otherwise we're gonna be in trouble.
Well, they went into the penalty box enough. But the Rangers were 1 for 15. The Rangers scored more shorthanded
goals than power play
goals, which tells you just how good a penalty killing unit Florida has.
It matters.
Edmonton is going to beat you with their power play. If you stop their power play and you make them play 5-on-5, they'll beat the pants off them. And I just feel like they will stop their power play because they have all the ingredients to do that, and they will kill them when they're 5-on-5.
And their coach
have the best.
And they got the best goal, and they got better goaltending.
The goaltending helps.
Yeah, they got better goaltending. Their defensemen are better. I mean, I like Bouchard. He's really good on the Oilers. He's done it all. So you can't criticize him. Even what's his name, the black guy, I can't remember his name now. Nurse, Darnell Nurse. Even him, he's playing well now for Edmonton. And he was always the what do you call it? The guy that got booed all the time because he was always making stupid turnovers. That even he's been great for Edmonton. But Florida is just as fast as Edmonton, and they give you no room. And they're not gonna score fluky goals against Florida the way they did against Dallas.
And we'll see if the urban legend is true. If the Panthers win the Stanley Cup, then touching The Prince of Wales Trophy is that's real. The 96 and last
the
year.
Oilers touched it?
No, the Panthers did.
The Panthers touched it.
They touched it in 96 and they touched it in 23, and they didn't win the Stanley Cup. So when they won the conference championship this year, the coach was walking by going, "Dude, don't touch it. Don't touch it. You're not supposed to touch it." So we'll see. We'll see if there's actually
the Rangers didn't touch it in 93, 94.
So he's like, "Don't touch it."
Yeah, no, you're not supposed to do
You're not
that.
supposed to touch it.
No.
So
just,
we'll see.
Just like the what do you call it? The President's Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they present it to you, nobody touches it. Nobody even pays attention to it.
Nope.
Because it's a curse. And
correct.
Yeah,
so we'll see. We'll see how true it is. We'll see how true it is.
I mean, I don't think.
Brad, it sounds like you're all over Florida here.
Yeah, I think Florida's going to beat them. I think they beat them in 5.
I said 6.
So you think they're going to win in Edmonton?
I think 6 is just like easy way out.
Okay.
That's the chicken shit way
yeah,
out.
I just think Florida win. I think Florida wins in their own. I think they win the first 2 games. I think they split in Edmonton and then they finish them off in Florida.
That'd be cool.
And then you guys can go. We'll go nuts in that building.
Correct.
The whole ice rink will have plastic rats
everywhere.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's their thing.
I don't get it, but
all right.
Okay.
Better than an octopus.
Hold on, let me get it in here. All right, it's minus 130. Panthers are slight favorites. Minus 135. 135.
Listen, as much as I hate that team, and as much as I was hoping they'd all get hurt in a bus accident for the way they played against the Rangers, with all the dirty crap that they pulled, and all the cheap shots and all the late hits, and putting our best penalty killer, knocking him out of the series in Game 2. For all that crap, I still respect the fact that they were one hell of a team.
They're that team that, you hate them if you're playing them, but if they're your guys, you love them.
They're incredibly.
I love teams like that.
They're incredibly tough to play against. I mean, you play against them.
I'm down on the Panthers.
They just beat the shit out of you in every game. They literally hit you and hit you and hit you, and and they don't have little guys. They have big, strong guys, and they hit you and they wear you down.
I like it.
And Doug, your 6 game prediction is probably more solid than my 5 game prediction, because just based on the wearing down factor, I think that it might work. It might work to that, but I think Florida win. I just don't see Edmonton winning 2 games in Florida.
I took the easy way out. That's the chicken. You know what?
Oh, it's okay.
To say anything in 6 games, that's the most passive way you can ever predict something.
Yeah, I just think that team's on a mission.
Final thoughts. NBA Finals underway as we speak. It was a blowout. Dallas is inching back into it. We'll see how it plays out.
Please, Mavericks. Please, Mavericks.
Yeah,
please.
I bet the Mavs.
Yeah.
Please.
I want to see Kyrie hit a winning shot in Boston.
Just stick it up their ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
That would be just.
I bet him to win. I bet the Mavs and Kyrie to win MVP.
Yeah.
Kyrie's 22-1.
That's how much I dislike that Celtic group.
No, I just root against every team from Boston. So
I know that we knew that.
Yeah, but
that's
I think Boston. Porzingis didn't start Game 1, but he came off the bench and he looks healthy and ready to go. They've clearly been saving him because they didn't need him against Cleveland or Indiana. Probably rightfully so, but that changes their whole team.
They're
going to be tough to beat.
Diehard Celtic fan too, grown up. The Bird, McHale, Dennis Johnson.
Sorry, you were
Robert
just a
Parrish.
kid. You didn't know any better.
And I
was a kid.
I was a diehard Kevin Garnett fan. So I was like that group.
I loved Kevin Garnett.
I was so pumped for them. I was a Jason Tatum fan when he was at Duke. It must be the Heat thing in me, because
he's not that great.
That team drives me nuts. They're great. They're good. But it's like I feel like I don't know. I feel like Pat Riley's in the back of his mind going, "Y'all better win it this year." Because
Pat Riley will do what he has to do this summer.
But I thought he did. I thought he was going to do that last summer too, and he kind of like.
What's he going to do?
You see some chinks in the armor. Like he's holding on to Tyler Hero like he's the next.
They paid Tyler Hero.
I mean, yeah, but getting paid in the NBA, they held on to him and held on to him and held on to him. And I'm like, yes, he's talented. I get it, but he's like at some point, like the best way of being a pro, availability is huge, and he's not always available.
That's true.
And like that's the like.
But they didn't listen. They didn't have Jimmy against Boston. I mean, what do you?
I know, but that team wasn't. I mean, like
that team.
The team they had this year wasn't made for. I think for the first time in a while, the Heat didn't get their guy, and it was like, right? All those key guys.
You think they wanted Lillard?
100%. And I think they thought, this team. If you think about it, that team was who they let go and free. Like, those guys were like all those, like developed guys that just were like plug and play, killing it. You know, the Anthony's, those guys were like, they were the heartbeat of that group with Jimmy, right? And they kind of like all of them kind of walk in, like they're kind of set. And they go, I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, he's letting them go. All right, now he's letting them go to let Lillard and friggin' Jimmy run the show. If they can keep Hero, he's a great third option in my opinion. But at the same token, you're like, damn, like, and now they didn't get him. And it's like, we're a dude short.
But they could, if you think he could still play, I'm sure he's very available in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think if you make that deal for him, you don't go off of one season, right? That whole thing that the Milwaukee did, they screwed that up from the start. I mean, like they fired the coach in the middle of the season. That was a disaster. That was a train wreck from the start. But I'm a Mark Cuban fan. I like Shark Tank, so I hope he wins a ring.
And literally every team in the Dallas metro area has been to the conference finals except the Dallas Cowboys.
It's really a shame.
The Rangers won. The Stars were there. The Mavs are there. And Cowboys, no dice.
Hang with them. Keep your chin up.
Yep, that's okay.
All right.
Keep your chin up.
Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Doug Mientkiewicz. That'll do it for the final whistle. Thanks for checking us out. We'll see you next week. Peace out, everybody.